Hail, hail, and welcome to the Homeboys Late Podcast. It is Thursday, the 29th of May. I'm, of course, Joe McKenna. We are back. It is post-Cup final podcasting, so it's going to be a wee bit of a bummer. Joined by Scott McCory.
What's happening, Joe? You all right, pal?
Oh, good, oh, good. Are you somewhat elevated now after the kind of passage of time?
I'm sure we'll come here, but do you know what I mean? I'm a law of averages kind of guy. That fake law.
Okay, fair enough. And also, Jason Higgins. What's happening, brother? You good?
I'm fair to middling.
It's one of them weeks, isn't it? One of them weeks. You've had to kind of just put a wee bit of steel in your step and go, fucking keep on going. Longers is here.
How are you, Joseph? You good?
I'm good. How's your building going?
It's not, mate.
Oh, for the love of fuck.
It's not. It'll be here next year when you're over, mate. Don't worry.
Well, good luck with that. I can only imagine the anguish that's putting you through.
I'm sending Donna in. She'll get it finished. She'll get it sorted.
Well, that's the very woman for it.
Putting the muscle in.
We're going to have Marty Flynn at some point. He's in transit. And so we're going to just exercise the demons of the cup final. I assume all three of you were there.
What?
Yep.
Who wants to go first with their? I tell you one thing that was said to me. This is kind of my only input in terms of like people going to the game. Was I got sent a picture of them putting up the stage. It's in Celtic Park, and it was just like that would be the kiss of death. Kiss of death was the message. I was like, all right. My bet is going to be Dejan. Celtic going to win. The grand. And are you lazy for?
Right, see, start with that then. I hate people who criticise things like that. Right, I really hate it because Celtic rightfully get dogs abuse for hundreds of things they do wrong. Now, if Celtic ever didn't preempt a win, we would be all over them. We'd be calling them fucking amateurish and stuff like that. Celtic have went to try to do something decent, and it's no work for us. So fuck. I hope they do it again when we do win. Do you know what I mean? See if they decided not to do it because a whole load of bombs on Twitter fucking laughed at them. Do you know what I mean?
You're Juju in the final and all that.
You see all that? Fuck off, man.
100%.
Right, well, I'm glad I've set the tone. That's good.
Do you want me? Right, I'll start about it, right? So, obviously, we done a pod on Friday, and me being the eternal shite bag that I'm on, I was kind of saying, maybe it's not happening. You know what I mean? Maybe it's no fucking. And you guys talked me around a bit, and we were going to fucking. And then, I don't know. You throw in everything, right? You can't just keep winning. You just can't keep on winning finals, and it just can't happen. Nobody's ever done it before. We've not done it before. You can't keep winning. And if you throw in all the recent cup finals, probably last night, something mad's happened. Do you know what I mean? Like the Tottenham just sat in and defended a 1-0 win. Fucking Crystal Palace winning it, and it was raining, and I don't know. I just never felt it all day. Me personally, I was kind of down on the day as well, but that's something to do with anything else. But I didn't kind of feel it. But I still have the confidence, no matter how much I feel about things, that Brendan Rodgers knows what he's doing, and the team are generally a bunch of winners domestically, as it is. So pre-match, whilst I was nervous about it, you still kind of do expect Celtic to turn up and do the job as we generally do. And without getting into the game, I booting the Stones, but I wasn't as fucking cut up as a lot of people were, to be honest. End of message.
I'm happy to argue next, mate. I don't mind at all. I echo a lot of what Scott said. I found it the most most downbeat build up to a final I've ever experienced or been part of. And whether that's complacency or tickets been a bit of a challenge or weather dropping, I don't know. But went to the pub pretty early. Picked my friend up from the airport Saturday morning. Back to mine, breakfast, then down to Chapman's early doors. Pub was 3/4 full. Smitty playing. Pub was flat as a pancake. For me, a bit like yourself, Scott. I was just feeling quite uneasy for the first, for all around the weekend sort of thing, and I couldn't really work out why. Drink wasn't really going down at all on the day, but just one of them. You're still expecting to go down and turn up and beat Aberdeen. I'm probably the opposite of you in terms of I'm pretty optimistic about games, and I fully expected us to go and run it over the top of them, just based on everything we've seen before us. Aberdeen's probably the worst team on form in the SPL in the last 2, 3, 4 months, maybe with the exception of Ross County. We battered them every time we played them. They didn't really seem to have any players that they could bring in that would make a difference to how they play. Change of shape was probably one thing they could do, which they did, which we'll come back to. But it was just flat. It just never got any better. Jason, you probably would have been sat not too far from me. Atmosphere was shite around where we were, completely shite. But again, I'll be as guilty as anyone of just being complacent, turning up, not really singing, not really making much of an effort at games. And we never really got into our stride at all, did we? Goal was being celebrated by the players or the fans. And then, once the equaliser went in, you thought it was only really going to go one way. But I've said in the last, when we beat Rangers in the final and a few other games, you are sitting waiting for that. When he's going to be that game when we finally get beat at Hampden. That you hope it's not against them bastards. So thankfully that was the silver lining. But had to come at some point. Doesn't take the shine off a great season for me personally. But there's plenty of things to look at over the last few months for this group of players. That's me.
Jimbo. So we're not getting into the game, obviously. We'll get into the game in a bit, just what we thought.
Yeah. Right? Just general,
Mine's was right low key. I wasn't drinking before it. I was drinking water on the way in the train. So we had a night out on Saturday night, so I was keeping myself for that. So we get to Mount Florida.
That's why we lost, Jason. You were sober. That's it.
He gets to Mount Florida at 2, and then goes into the snooker club at 2 pints, then walks into the game, just get in for kick-off. And I was in the 3rd row, the North Stand, and it was fucking awful. You can hardly see a thing.
I was row C as well, mate.
So what section were you? Were you near the middle?
Nearer the middle than the end. I saw John after the game. He said he'd been with you, so you couldn't have been too far from me. We kind of come out at a similar part, so you must have maybe been 2 blocks to my left, nearer the south.
I was. Yeah. So just the view was shite, and I echo. See when we scored, I didn't even know we'd scored because you couldn't even see it. And then I seen the players celebrating. I seen the ref going back, and by that time, nobody round about me was even celebrating, but nobody knew it was a goal. It was just totally weird.
It was a draw in a final decided by, but not even decided, but created by 2 own goals. It's fucking that's about as flat as it tells you.
It was just weird. But see, being honest with you, right? See, at half time, I didn't feel under any pressure at all. I just thought we would have won. And Aberdeen were hardly in our half. And I get they changed their shape, played 5 at the back. Fair play to them. They were basically playing for penalties for the start, and obviously it transpired it worked for them. But I was like that, we're in no danger here. And then obviously we'll discuss the substitutions and everything. But I just thought, it'll come, we'll get another goal. And it just didn't come. And obviously there's 100 things I could say about that. But the atmosphere was totally flat, and when we got to extra time, I just thought the Aberdeen fans were right behind their team. We weren't. And it was just rubbish. But as I say, and I see it on the chat, P. McLaughlin says he was talking to a wee apprentice at his work, and that's the first time he's ever seen us lose a cup final. That's the first time Ellie's seen us lose a cup final as well. That's
it puts it into perspective a wee bit. I mean.
And if you'd said to me at the start of the season that we would have had with the Champions League form, winning the league and winning the League Cup against that mob, I would have took it, you know. But at the time, you're absolutely crestfallen. And because I was in the third row, I couldn't get out of the stadium for about 10 minutes. And fucking name all going after nothing. Fair play to them, you know. Fucking good on them. And funny wee story, we're walking back after the game, so we didn't even bother trying to get a train or a bus or try to flag down a couple of taxis, couldn't get one. So me, Joe and Ellie just started walking into the two next, Sean and Mac, as they were coming out for the Celtic end. We came out the North Stand and down by Cathkin Park, down Cathcart Road. So we walked down that way, and there was 3 Aberdeen fans with us, a wee guy with a flag and 2 older guys. I said to the wee guy, I says, "You don't fucking wait and see your team lifting the cup." He says, "We're booked on a fucking City Link bus. We didn't think we'd take it the extra time. The bus is leaving in fucking half an hour. We need to fucking get back." And you were like, you felt bad for him. Do you know? He says, "I've still never seen us lift a fucking trophy." Aye, and you're like, Jesus. But aye, all in all, brilliant season. I agree with you, Liam. It's not taking the shine off me for a great season. I was absolutely gutted we didn't get another treble, but fucking hell, when you see it went through. But I don't agree with Aberdeen deserved to win it, but obviously they did win it, and you win it, you deserve to win it. But we were the better team by a mile, and we should have fucking put the game to bed. They were nowhere near the better team in that game. We were the better team, but we were still a mile off it. But I still think we were worthy of winning it in 90 minutes, but it didn't happen, and we can go on to discuss the game or whatever. So, Joe, you can give your review. That's kind of my...
I watched it in the house. And I felt confident, but then as I watched the game, I just felt a wee bit like... I don't know, the game itself just seemed like it wasn't that exciting. It wasn't... I don't know. I think the hardest part of the day, honestly, to be honest, was watching Callum McGregor kind of, you know, watching his face and watching his response because of how hard he seems to take it. You know, that was kind of the one thing that kind of stood out to me on the day. You get over a lost cup final. You've won a double. I mean, it's been a great season. We've all had great memories. Hasn't been terrible. Yeah, it's a bit of a damp way to finish things, but you know, you're not going to fucking get it all. So move on. We've been joined by Didn't Want to Win the Treble Anyway, who apparently is on his way to Mars.
What's happening?
What's happening?
I don't know.
Can
you hear me at all? I'm in the car.
All right. Are you in a capsule on your way from Krypton? Fuck.
That's it. That's hurt. I can knock off if you can't hear me.
Fine.
Seems like you can't fucking hear us.
No, we just left the Gilmore family's home there. Marty Gilmore's grandmother died, so fuck me, it's like a who's who of the Celtic support there in the wee house now. Good to see everybody, and sorry for Marty, obviously. Sad news. So I was listening in there, bits and pieces there, so it was coming down. So it was. So just want my day.
Go for it.
Okay. I just wondered here, I'm up around the airport, so the fucking internet may cut out. So anyway, there's a squad of us in the fans, about 20 of us, fucking all out and whatever else. But just to go back on what Liam said, and I mentioned it last week on the pod.
That's the airport kicked in.
There you go. Marty Flynn, great communicator. Shit technician.
There was no real... Maybe it's got to do with it being on Premier Sports and not being on Sky or whatever, you know what I mean? Maybe
Can you hear me now, Mark?
Is that Eugene? Can you hear it, Gene?
A competition for the listeners. You can fill the gaps in, Mark.
Are you there, Sydney? Are you there, Sydney? Dun, dun,
What's the guess what Marty's talking?
Marty, we've missed 3/4 of that, mate.
There's probably some gold in there.
I don't think Marley can hear us.
No.
I'll wait till Marty gets back here.
So, folks, there you go. There's Marty Flynn.
In fairness, he's talking more sense than usual.
You know what? That's never in doubt, never in question.
You should try this approach, Joe.
I'm not on the move as much as Marty. I'm not as popular as Marty.
We fucking know sometimes you just go to the toilet, Joe.
Right. So, the game.
You never gave us yours, Joe. You said you watched it
Joe.
first, and the saddest bit was you mentioned Cal McGregor.
Yeah, no, I just thought, honestly, the whole thing was very, very flat. I thought, like, the same way you just said, like the crowd were flat. That didn't come across on TV, in fairness, the crowd being flat, but, like, I mean, the overall game just seemed very fucking, a bit tame. And see this thing, right? And we've been, I don't know if it's guilty of it or just, something we do over the past season. But see, when it appears that we need to be urgent and getting the ball forward, or at least try to bring the ball forward and push the other team back somewhat. See this, and I know loads of teams do it. See this passing it about at the back, right? It's starting to really fucking grate, man. It's starting to really make me question whether watching football going forward is worth it sometimes, because I think I listened to Gary Neville on the overlap saying the very same thing. He said, we don't come to watch defenders play football. We come to watch football go forward. And that happened a lot against Rangers. It's happened loads and loads and loads. When the stands are calling for urgency, and I don't mean that the stands dictate what's happening, right? But I mean, there's just something very frustrating about watching that happen repeatedly. And the same thing with trying to feed it to Kuhn at times when it's not working. Again, that was frustrating too, right? These things, you watch them and you go, right, I'm not an expert, but I can see that this isn't really happening. So why don't we pivot somewhat and see what else happens? But then you get to a point where it's 60, 63, 4, 5 minutes, and then you're starting to make changes. And even those tend to be even just fucking different versions of what you're already doing. And then you go back to the fucking side to say it at the back. And it was just fucking, it just deflates you. It really deflates you. And at that point, you're kind of hoping for luck or something special. And that game was going to have it from nobody, in my opinion. I mean, Dejan had that chance to finish it. I mean, you put your money on him. You put all your money on him in that moment. But it was just fucking, it wasn't a horrendous watch, but it was a tough fucking sit. I mean,
I don't kind of disagree with it. I know Scales was coming in for pelters, but he must have touched the ball more than them in the park. He just seemed to have the ball constantly. And I get that, but that's the way Rodgers plays. It's building for the back. But there is definitely merit. And as soon as Aberdeen set up with 5 at the back, we're not getting much joy. Is there a claim for make a sub in 30 minutes? Change it, but it just doesn't happen. You've got 5 subs on the bench. So you've got that luxury that you could make a change, like a tactical change. You could put 2 up front. You could start playing high balls in there, but I don't know. High balls in, they're gobbling them up. So I don't really know.
Can I ask something about, see subs at that stage, Jason? Can I ask something like, I mean, I would think a sub at a stage of like 35, 40 minutes, right? Yes, I suppose there's some kind of idea that it's disrespectful to whoever you're taking off, as if like they're not doing that well, they're taking off in the first half. There's this kind of idea, right? But I think sometimes if you're making subs at that stage, maybe you may be springing a different sort of strategy or idea on the opposition. I mean,
well, that's like I've said it on here loads of times. Mourinho always said it when he managed in Italy. He says he would set up his Inter Milan team, and he says straight away, like 15 minutes into the game, Inter Milan might only be playing with 1 up front or whatever, and he says the home team would make a tactical change 15 minutes into the game because they'd set up wrong to combat the way they were playing. And he says I would do the same when I was playing in England. And he says you wouldn't get a substitution to 65, 70 minutes. And he says you'd be 3-0 up by that time. And he says it baffled him that managers in England just wouldn't make a change. You know, they were kind of stuck to the way they were playing. They've set their team up. But you set your team up to the way you play, but if you're not getting joy against your opposition and they've set up a certain way that you've no planned for, you need to make changes.
Well, that's what I would consider management. I mean, that's what I would think that is.
It's just no the done thing here. It's just no. It's, I don't know. It just doesn't really. You see it in Italy quite a lot, but you don't really see it in many other places. So if you're tactically astute, to be fair to Jimmy Teelan, he changed the total way Aberdeen played, and fair play to him, because if he'd set up the way he did when we played them at Pataudry, or when we've played, I mean, how many goals have we scored against them this season? 20 or something? And he totally changed the way they played. They'd no like, desire to leave their box, the 5 defenders, and they never really came out of the halfway line. They played like 3-4 up front, but they always had the full cover at the back. They never ever came out of position. And it made it really difficult for us, but you need to find ways around that. I mean, if you get guys that are camped in their own half, there's ways and means of playing against that, and we kind of didn't seem to do it. To be honest with you, I thought it was one of Rodgers' worst games for us, and I think he's been a brilliant manager for us. I hope he stays and done great things in Europe, but to me personally, there's loads of things wrong with that game at the weekend, and it's sort of in hindsight saying it, but for the Casper Schmeichel, especially having a shoulder injury, Jimmy Teelan, like every one of their penalties went to, don't get me wrong, they were all belter penalties, so even if he was fit, he maybe never got them. But you could see
that, Jason, though, don't you think that's, before you finish, don't you think that's just, I mean, see when I saw that text, I didn't want to kind of, I thought that see if Aberdeen's fullback had been out for 4 months with a broken fucking toe, I would expect my striker to go and stand on his toe. I think that's just general football thing. And for people to sit and go fucking, so that one falls 100% on Rodgers. If Schmeichel wasn't fit,
right? 100%.
And that leads on to a question: was Schmeichel? Because I was really surprised when Schmeichel came back into the Hibs game. Was that a sentimental move, or did they just trust him more than Sinisalo? So sorry to interrupt you there, mate.
No, but it's a great question. I think it's maybe more of the sentimental side, because I don't think Sinisalo done much wrong at all. You know, and to me, I was convinced he would be the goalkeeper at the end of the season, and then when they brought him back in at the Hibs game, you were like, oh.
Surprising, eh?
Aye.
Yeah, I disagree a little bit. I think if there's any doubts over Schmeichel's fitness, I think that's right. But I think when Schmeichel's been as good as he's been all season, I think he deserves to be there for the final, for the trophy.
But he was obviously injured.
Well, that's debate. I don't know. I mean, I know the penalties went to that side of him, but
all the penalties are good ones.
Yeah, they are good ones. Even if he was fit, I'm not sure he saved any of them if they even was injured. But I mean, I've not seen him pull out of a dive. I know he fucked up for the goal, right? And someone can try and explain to you what he was even trying to do there. But I've not seen him not dive for stuff or look weak to his right or whatever. So I'm not. I know the text made sense based on what you saw the goals.
No,
but
I thought the text is more done in hindsight.
Yeah,
it suited the narrative.
Aye, exactly. But the thing is, as well, it makes a hell of a lot easier for a penalty taker if you're confident that he's not going to dive to that side when you're putting it in there.
I've no doubt that Aberdeen were spoken about and they were going, right, the keeper's just been out with that side. Let's be hitting different in there. And like I say, I would expect our goalkeeping coach to be telling our players if the same situations happen to them. Know what I mean? Like we're up against what's that Butland cunt, and we know he can't go down to his fucking left. So when we're playing them, I would expect us to be having him in the left. You know what I mean? Shit like that. I don't really. When I read the text, I kind of laughed because these things often come out after when to prove a point. But to come back. Sorry, crack on.
No, and you know I'm a stickler for penalties, right? Mm-hmm. Do you actually think Celtic practiced penalties in the week leading up to that? Intently?
It wouldn't look so.
I don't think so.
Fuck me, my neighbours won't give me a heart attack, man. What the fuck is that?
Well, fucking. But do you know what I mean? It's like they were running up just no knowing what they were going to do with it. Every Aberdeen player stepped up there with a total purpose, knowing where they were putting that ball. And obviously they've said that's their best chance of winning, and fair play to them, it worked for them. But I think it's a bit, maybe Celtic did practice them and they just hit them wrong, but I don't think so. And I think when you're getting into a cup final, you should be practicing penalties throughout the season anyway. I've said that for long and weary, and you should be practicing hitting the exact same spot. You've got 4 players in the park, somebody's going to be on that's going to be taking a penalty, and they should be practicing and practicing and practicing, because it's a vital part of the game of football. And I just think we went into that penalty shootout as massive underdogs, because Aberdeen were well drilled what they were going to do with the penalties, and we absolutely weren't. And Kasper Schmeichel's antics, you could kind of tell there was something up with him, because constantly he's at the ref and trying to put the guy off, and I'm like, just get back in your fucking line and try and save the penalty. He was more incensed with getting in the guy's head, like it was like fucking, and he was still doing it in the 5th penalty, and you're like, you've not getting your fucking 4 of them, but they were class penalties, right? So I'm not decrying him for that, but it was just that constant. It wasn't working. He did it 3 times, didn't even look like working for the first 3 times. So see the next 2, just go on your line and fucking concentrate as much as you can and try and save the fucking thing.
Yeah.
But that pissed me off no end. But I just fucking, there's a million things about that game. If we're getting to talk about the game, the 3 substitutions, what the fuck was that all about? 60 odd minutes, Aberdeen's no been in our half. We're totally controlling the game. Nobody had an injury. They didn't look as if they were knackered. They weren't playing great, but we were totally in control of that game of football, and all Aberdeen were doing was last-ditch defending, heading it away, and then it was another wave of attack. Obviously, it was going through scales, we were passing it about the back, but it was just a constant wave of us attacking.
Right.
And it wasn't coming to anything.
Kuhn wasn't good, was he?
He wasn't.
Right. And James Forrest was better when he came on.
James Forrest was, but the thing is, there was 3 of them come on.
So sub number one, fine. Sub number 2, I thought it was strange. I would have had Bernardo off. I think we could have a discussion about Bernardo later, but I wouldn't have took Arnie Engels off. He's just hit the post.
Arnie Engels nearly won the cup for us. Yep.
Say that again, brah?
He's nearly won the cup for us.
Yeah. I was a bit surprised by that. I didn't think Arnie Engels was particularly great, but I thought he was better than Bernardo. However, the manager sees something. Luke McCowan comes on, adds nothing to the game. Adds absolutely nothing to the game. Adam Eder coming off, I kind of get it. I get it. Bringing him off for Yang, I didn't get. Well, obviously the Maeda thing, do you know what I mean? And again, if Maeda scores with the last kick of the ball, then the sub fucking wins yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which it should have done. So whilst I kind of understand, because Adam Eder, I was listening to somebody this week, and it was a great point, was his first touch. See, his overall play I thought was all right on the day. He doesn't really get hundreds of chances in a game, does he? The boys aren't flying in front of his foot, and his foot was whizzing them wide and high. They're not getting into him. So I did get a bit of sympathy. However, I can't remember who it was. It might have been Celtic Exchange. And he says his first touch was generally poor. They took him 2 and 3 touches to get the ball under control, thus killing our attack. And as you rightly said, Jason, Aberdeen had no intention of fucking. It was very similar to. We've all seen it. See if we can get to at Parkhead. If we can get to 80 minutes and we're 0-0 or 1-0 down, we'll go for it in the last 10 minutes. Like Dundee United done it this season, and I felt that's what was going to happen with Aberdeen. On the flip side of our subs being no really working, I thought Aberdeen subs all worked.
The big boy that injured
Habby Gay.
He was powerful.
Cause does no end of problem. I thought the boy Polvara come in and looked really strong. the big boy up front, never really, the Palestinian boy, never really done much, you know what I mean? And that Shaden Morris, when he comes on, his energy is quite fucking impressive. So every one of their subs are all fucking positive subs at that point, which kind of goes into my thinking that, see, if we're still in this fucking game, we're going to go for it. And Aberdeen, I suppose, deserve credit, but the fact that the goal come for an absolute fucking howler doesn't back up my point at all, obviously. But whilst I think Celtic subs never worked, I kind of go each of them, Jason. So I'm no gone mental about it. It's mere that. Do you remember at Christmas we were talking about how strong a squad we had? And then since March, it's actually flipped the other way. You're kind of like since the Bayern Munich game, in fact, the Bayern Munich game, we're all sitting there watching that game. We're going, we've got fuck on the bench here that's really worth a fuck. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of sums up when the guys coming in for your first. Because to go back to all your points, everything was flat. Celtic scored, and the players never really celebrated. I know it's an own goal, but it's a cup final goal. And then, and the fans, as you say, the fans, I know how I was. And the GB and the boys still do all their good stuff. But Aberdeen, I don't know, just the whole day, we had to play shit. They had to play all right, and they had to get luck. We hit the bar, we missed a sitter, we hit the post. So we never got in, and we scored an OG. I know they scored one. And then we get beaten penalties, which is a bit of luck, you know what I mean? So...
But see the fact, right, you get the 3 subs, but why do you have to make the 3 of them at the one time? Because, as I said, they weren't in our half, right? With total control of the game. We weren't great, we were average at best, but it was enough to get over the line against them. If you kept the 11 players on the park, I think we'd have won. No made any subs.
Subjective, isn't it? I mean,
exactly. I'm a genius fucking after the event, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, if you bring Forrest on for Kuhn, just one sub, a wee bit, then 10 minutes later you bring another sub on. But see, when you bring 3 on, it changes the full balance of the team. And Yang was trying his best, but nothing was coming off, and it was just.
But again, I don't want to be the apologist here. I'm kind of just trying to give you an alternative view, Jason, that how many times though have we made 3 subs and it's been mega positive because it's done what you said. It's raised the whole standard on the pitch.
Aye.
It's raised the whole, and we've went out, and I mean, Ange's time, and I know we don't like talking about him, but Ange's time, there's off times that the game was you were already 2 or 3-0 up, don't get me wrong, but Ange used to bring guys on and it would raise the whole game. And I don't know if that's what Rodgers was trying to do. I mean,
well, obviously it was.
The poor thing about Yang was nothing worked for him. I mean, the boy was trying hard, but nothing was working for him. And frustratingly for him, it kind of kills his comeback somewhat, doesn't it? Because Marty jinxed him. Marty was fucking talking him up last week, you know what I mean? So it's Marty
has been really good. But see to me, Scott, right? See a cup final, it's just all about that W. It's all about getting over the line.
100%.
We're 1-0 up. They're not even in our half. Why make a drastic change to try and build the impetus up to go and get more goals when your 11 on the park are well in control? Aberdeen are doing nothing. And everybody's into the game. Nobody looks knackered. And you just say to yourself, right, it's not amazing, but we're going to get over the line here. We don't really need to do anything drastically different because Aberdeen...
Whilst I do 100% agree with your point in general, I do think it's hindsight, Tom.
Well, it is. I've not got anything else I can talk with.
I think Arnie Engels has hit the post. I think everyone has agreed. Celtic score a second, it could end up 3-4-5.
Oh, easy.
Yeah, know what I mean? The way Aberdeen had set up, I couldn't see them changing that style. what I found frustrating, and we were talking about it during the week, was this is how Aberdeen's manager wants to play. This is what he's made his name off of, this particular way of playing football. He won a league on the back of being the smallest team in the league and playing every game counter-attack. And this is that's see that if he could get away with playing that every week and every team coming to attack him and he could play counter, they would do it. So it's frustrating though that we know all this. I knew this. No, I mean, this is fucking Aberdeen. I had an Aberdeen fan on the pod telling us this is what he likes to do. This is how he's been successful. And for us, no to have a proper plan in place. I mean, of course, Hatate being out and Jota being out, two really fucking guys who can unlock, unlock defences is again huge for us. But we should be good enough to do more than what we've done. Aberdeen restricted us to very little. Very fucking little.
They did. But by restricting us to very little, they restricted themselves to very little.
Of course. Yeah.
Because every bit of energy they were in was about restricting us. So they'd no outball. There was nothing happening. And I just think the 3 subs were just madness. But it is hindsight. But basically, it's all we can talk about. It's after
No, I know, mate. I know.
But
Liam, what do you think?
Aye, what do you think?
So, a couple of things for me that stood out on the game. Aberdeen have not been playing that boy. What's his name? The right back who played for Scotland from Livingston.
Devlin.
He's not been playing at all any time I've seen him this season, which I found a bit weird because I think he's a decent player at that level for them. And he come back in. They went to a back 3 for the first time under Tilling whatsoever, as far as I'm aware. And Devlin has not been playing, who's right-footed, played left wing back. And we've got Alistair Johnson and Kuhn on that right-hand side, and they never give him 1 minute's bother the whole game, which I thought was really, really, really poor. Maybe just stood out because I was sitting quite close to the pitch that side and noticed him a bit more there, but I just thought it was really poor. You know, we had a perfect chance to exploit them out wide and just did pretty much fuck all on both flanks. I thought Ida just had another nothing game, really. I know you debated him quite a lot a few weeks ago and can't really knock him for his goals this season. His contribution's been okay. It's been decent, but just another game that seems to pass him by. And I don't know how much of that's down to him, how much of that's down to the way we play, particularly when we start just passing the ball along the back. We don't really create too much for the strikers. Forrest, should he have started? I don't know. I listened to the end of the pod last week. I think you all said he would start on the bench, which he ended up doing. Bernardo starting, and I've been a big fan of Bernardo. I thought he was awful on Saturday. And Ingles was just okay, did nothing wrong, just pretty much similar to what he's done most of the season. But I was shocked that he got taken off before Bernardo. And I think someone else said you're taking off 2 of your best probably penalty takers with him and Eder as well. But the manager probably wasn't thinking that way. But it just felt like I think we were a bit unlucky with Forrest. You bring Forrest on. I think they were bringing Eder off at that point just before Forrest got injured. Because if you remember, Kenny was stripped and ready to come on. And then Forrest got fouled, obviously, just before the ball stopped. And I think it was Maeda that was going to come off. Maeda looked fucked to me, looked completely fucked. I know he's a freak of nature, but he just looked fucking done in near the end.
But you're looking at, see the chance that he made. He made that chance for himself.
Yeah.
He won the ball, took it round 2 of them, and then he was clean through.
But
so
you know what, Jason? It's not the sort of chance you expect him to finish when he's got that time.
No,
Do you know what?
I wasn't confident in putting that away.
It'd actually been better just carry on running. See if he just carried on running and gone run around the keeper.
I agree with that. Yeah.
You could have probably just run it in, but you don't. When you're in front of goal, you're thinking this is the chance. But
it's a good save for the keeper, to be fair.
It was a good save, and he's a very good keeper, to be fair. But again, and I'm going to be a hypocrite here because we all sang the virtues of the squad after the Aberdeen League game in Pataudry, but you look at the team that's on the pitch at the final whistle there. Schmeichel obviously had a great season apart from that howler. Johnson has been very good. Carter Vickers, Scales, who lost. We had we bought a $6 million player in to replace him, and then he's found his way back in the team. Again, you know what you're getting from Scales. Taylor wasn't there. Schlupp was a left back at the end, who started well, has gone right back into form. Greg Taylor finished the last 2 games for us playing in midfield, when we've seen someone like Mercado light the place up and then not get a sniff for the next few games after. McGregor, fine there. McCowan, not a bit part player, but has not played too much. You've got Kenny, you've got Young and Maeda. You've kind of got half a team there who 5 or 6 players who probably won't be anywhere near the starting lineup for us next season. So where we should be finishing the season really strong, it felt like we kind of went the opposite way. And that might just be down to, a bit of misfortune or whatever, but just felt like we were very weak at the time when you wanted us to be strong to roll us over the line.
Aye, when you look at the forward line, you finish the game, it's pretty.
Yeah.
So I just fucking. But I go back to it. But I think, to me, it's one of Rodgers' worst management games for me. His decision making, I just thought it was off. But overall, as the season goes, I mean, obviously Scott will do the season review and whatever, and it'll be far more upbeat than this, because there are a lot of high points, and certainly Brendan Rodgers knows a lot more about football than I do. So just giving an honest opinion that I just thought we were. And see, when it went to extra time, I was not confident at all. And then Schlupp hits the bar. Fucking hell, man. It was just right in front of me as well when he scudded it.
That was a dinger of a shot as well, wasn't it?
I kind of knew it wasn't going in, because I was right down low, you kind of knew it was. I thought it was going over the bar, but then when it hit the bar, fucking nearly took the post off its fucking foundings, and it right up in the air and still stayed in play. So unlucky. But if we get a goal there, it's over. They're not getting another. If we get a goal and they open up, we're scoring another. But it just wasn't to be. And the penalties were an absolute fucking shambles. Shambles. And it just looked like none of them had practiced. And fair play to them all, stepping up to take a penalty. And you're obviously fucking got it for McGregor. But one thing, see, obviously, it's human emotion, right? McGregor's absolutely fucking crestfallen. But I hate to see that. I hate to see folk greeting when you get beat. See, even the Real Betis players last night and that howling and everything. I'm like, fucking greet when you win. Tears of joy. Fucking when you get beat, just fucking be raging rather than fucking greeting. But
I'd say you're fucking exhausted as well. Like, you're just like, I put everything into this and do a fuck off. I'm like,
emotion, I'm not fucking slagging.
I don't know what you thought, but like Taylor's been brilliant playing as an inverted left back for us, but he was driving me mad at that game. It seems like every time he got the ball, he didn't even attempt to turn or look the other way. Just kept bladdering the ball back, fucking either back to Scales or even further back if he was further up the pitch.
I had a guy at the game taking back to Scales, Liam. He was doing one of these things. Just get Scales every time somebody the ball. Get Scales, right? And I mean, and we all kind of understood what he was saying, but the players can't fucking hear him. Brendan Rodgers can't hear him. We've got to listen to the fucking idiot. And eventually I turned and went, big man, you want to shut the fuck up, man. And he's like, I'll fucking bust you. And I was like, fucking, we've all got to listen to this fucking guy.
Fuck off back to Cabas Lang. Is that what he said to you?
But it's so...
I normally don't get involved with internet fucking shite, but there's folks slagging Scales, and I'm like, right, he's not the greatest player in the world, but I said, if you look at that cup final, I've not even looked at any stats, but I bet he touched the ball more than any player in that park, right? Through default, through folk fucking lumping the ball back to him. And I don't think he did much wrong. He's no fucking Franco Baresi, right? But he's not the worst player in the world, and he does a turn and he tries his bloody best. But to call him out as a scapegoat for us losing that cup's a bit fucking rich.
Jason, exactly right. If you want to start pointing fingers, it fucking starts on the bench, and then it goes to a cut. Scales isn't in the conversation, right? But as Joe talks about, Gary Neville talks about it. When I played football, when I played centre half, I didn't want the ball. I gave the ball to, and when I ran my football teams, we used to talk about defence. gear the ball to the fucking guys up top because they'll win you the game. And that's what we've done, do you know what I mean? But the way football is now, we've kind of got to play. And Brendan Rodgers thinks he's better than the £6 million guy in the bench. He thinks he's better than the boy we sent to Belgium. It's no Liam Scales' fault. It's really no. I think in the list of things, he's way far down the list. In fact, I don't think anybody should be pointing the finger at him.
No.
He's just very hesitant on the ball. I mentioned this a few times this season. He needs to cut the touches before he wants to pass it. And that's fine. That's just his ability or whatever. But fucking that then just puts that bit of uncertainty into all the team. Do you know what I mean? It just you've got to be pinging the ball about and just moving the ball much faster. But
spell in extra time, Liam, totally reminded me of the first half against Hibs when we beat them through Adam Ida, where the ball just kept going. And every time he passed it to a midfielder would do one of the passes straight back because Aberdeen weren't coming off. Aberdeen weren't chasing the ball. So they were passing the ball into, say, McGregor. McGregor's back to Scales. And you've just wasted fucking 3 minutes just by three passes. Do you know what I mean? It was it was pretty poor.
We did it, Scott, right. I'm sure it was either the last minute of extra time or the last minute of the first half of extra time, but the board actually went up for a minute and we fucking spent the whole minute just passing around them 3 or 4 like fucking people were going absolutely mental. But infuriating.
And that's where you do miss Hatate getting the ball and fucking trying to play that through ball. And that's where you miss Jota actually beating a guy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's interesting. Again, I know we fucking talk about the overlap constantly, but I was watching it. Who were they talking about? He was talking about being a winger, and he liked, as a winger, he liked putting people on their heels rather than if you run down the side, you're allowing them to run with you. But if you attack them and kind of scoop it away, so much so that the 2 wee wingers I've got in my football team who are hugely, I've been saying to them, this is what I want you to do. I want you to go at them, then make a decision. And it's interesting, Henri was on this week and he's talking about the same thing. He's talking about being that guy to commit guys and fucking do things. And Nicholas Kuhn has almost reverted to type. If he can't get that ball where he's running in, he passes it back. And that was a big frustration about him last year. Do you know what I mean? Because there's no doubt about it, he's a fantastically talented player. And the question is he going to be around to hopefully hit the heights again? But let's make the odds about it. He was honky tonk. Do you know what I mean? And these are the guys. Huh?
It was terrible.
Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah. And I mean, like, it doesn't really bother me, but you look back to the game, was it Dundee United? Who was it that fucking scored and he's fucking pointing, he's telling people he's shush and all that. No, I mean, you're like, fuck up, you know what I mean? But like I say, I was very relaxed at the end up because as I said right at the beginning, you can't win them all. The way Aberdeen played, 9 times out of 10 that doesn't work. 9 times out of 10 Celtic beat them because they deserve to beat them. But everything worked for them. It's a season of fucking high profile. Somebody winning all the trophies all the time isn't good.
Yep.
Obviously, I want Celtic to win everything they fucking touch, but I'm kind of realistic to know it's no good. But if you're ever going to lose one and the Huns don't win it, it's not a killer for us. Like you, Jason, we walked down to the Brazen after the game and we walked down with 3 Aberdeen fans and I was saying to them, go and enjoy it, lads, go and enjoy your night and all that. And he's going, fucking, do you think these were a wee bit? And I'm going, well, what do you expect Celtic fans to do? I was watching Axon today and my big pal JP was on and he was talking about a Twitter thing and I seen it. So Twitter's just fucking people fishing now, innit? People just flinging out a ridiculous statement and hopefully he'll get a whole load of bombs or jumping on it.
That's all it is.
And an Aberdeen fan put up Shinnie World Cup and he went, Celtic fans will never have this. They will never fucking know what it's like. They'll never have this feeling. And Big JP's talking about it today and I don't register so I can't comment. But I was going to go, well, what would you rather have, JP? would you rather have yourself winning hundreds of trophies and aiming for Europe, or would you rather be Aberdeen, who win a cup every fucking 6 year and you fucking get really excited about it? Do you know what I mean? This is just a fact of being a winners. We do get complacent. We do our expectations go sky high, but that's good. That's fucking good. That's been, you know what I mean? And because we're older and we've seen garbage, we've got a wee bit more laid back, cool take about it. You know what I mean?
It's a very daft way of looking at it, though, in fairness on their part. That's like a CEO being told by a guy at every level, you'll never know what it's like to get your first job, you dick.
Yeah, exactly. You'll never know what it's like to get paid 150 quid for your fucking month wages. Because
ridiculous fucking way to look at it.
It's a nonsense thing, and I was quite annoyed, but I was like to JP, I felt like texting him going, big man, what do you want here? Do you know what I mean? We can't, the old adage, you can't have your cake and eat it. Sell it. We'll talk about it next week.
And see, like if we'd won on Saturday, that was it. Ellie had actually been in attendance for mostly every league game, cup game, and final for 2/3 of Celtic's trebles in their history. And she's 23. She's 23. You know, so she's still more than half the now, but she was going to make it 2/3. And you just think to yourself, fucking hell, you know. And it just shows you how Celtic have made the extraordinary seem ordinary.
Yeah.
Over the past few years.
And I challenge anybody, Aberdeen fans who fucking celebrated that like it was a great thing. I challenge anybody to not get complacent. I hate the word spoiled. Because, like I say, all five of us sitting here tonight, Harper including on, generally anybody that listens to us because they're all over fucking 60 and all. But we did grow up through a crappy time, so we do appreciate this a fair bit more than other people. But let's not kid ourselves on. It is too easy. And it's too easy because we are such a hardcore support, and we are such a well-run business stroke football club that put them together has put us into this fantastic situation. Now, if Aberdeen filled Pittodrie with 30,000 every fucking second week, Aberdeen would be the third force by a stretch in this country. By an absolute stretch. The money they would have would be wild. But they don't. And that's on them. I hope they enjoy the cup. I look forward to talking to the Aberdeen guy next season. But is this going to ruin my thinking? It makes me question things. And I think that's maybe a decent segue to kind of go into about players. But it makes me question players now. Maybe a wee bit question on the manager. Not to any great degree, but it does kind of throw up question marks. It puts a lot more question marks over next season that weren't there, say, when we were getting into Aston Villa game.
But you've never seen as much fucking crying in your life. Like at Huddleboard, I come off a Huddleboard there for about 3 days. Because everybody was shite, everything was shite, everything was fucking
bitches.
Like seriously, the Lisbon fucking Lions only won 2 trebles. Ever, like the greatest team we ever fucking saw. Do you know what I mean? Jack's team was through a whole the Celtic was through a whole run without winning the fucking League Cup for fucking years. And what the fuck, like, you can't win everything. And you can pick an individual game and be annoyed about it and say, oh, that went wrong and that went wrong. Well, that's fine, but that's football.
Aye.
Brendan Rodgers isn't fucking Jesus.
No.
And none of our players are fucking Jesus either. So it's like, and like you said it earlier on, you were talking about Jimmy Tilleen's tactics. That's his tactic. That's what he fucking does. And yet we were missing players that maybe could have made a difference against that type of tactic, like Jara, like Hatate. But we'll never fucking know because they were injured. And that's just the way it is. That's just football. Like I heard John, we're talking tonight there that week, Johnny Kenny was getting fucking slaughtered. What the fuck did Johnny Kenny do? Do you know what I mean? And Adamita all of a sudden's a cunt, and you're going, but there was 3 men there in Adamita the whole match. What the fuck do you want him to do? Do you know what I mean?
Brendan Rodgers isn't Jesus, but he did get crucified and come back from the dead.
Well, he did, well, mate, and he's continuing to be crucified by fucking some people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very, very happy. I was listening to you on the way down there talking about the match, and agree with most of what you said. I was getting out of the internet service, so I didn't hear it all. You know, the subs were totally baffling. Totally baffling. Like, you see the angles, when he was messing about him hitting the fucking post and then getting took off. Who the fuck does that? I'd have left him on. Because he looked as if he was one of the ones who would have been more
And
likely to
he
get
was
taken.
unhappy coming. He was unhappy coming off. You could
He
see
was
it.
gutted. Sure, he had his fucking jersey pulled up over his head. He looked as if he was crestfallen. Do you know what I mean? So that's another young player who now is taking a fucking dent. Like, fuck, we're off.
I think that's. Is it habit though? Is it a habit thing?
To me, I think Scott said it. It was almost like a sentimental thing. And may I remind you all that I fucking said to you about a month ago that Schmeichel shouldn't be allowed back for the rest of the fucking season. Sinisalo, I told you that in the NFL, the term is whoever has the hot hand stays in, and there was nothing wrong with Sinisalo. He'd done had a great few matches, looked the business. He should have been left in for the rest of the season. And Schmeichel being told, listen, don't worry about it. Just take a fucking back seat here, get yourself healthy, and we'll go again in July. It's not that long of a break, you know. So
again, but I totally agree with you, Mark.
no, I said it at the time. I said
No, you
shouldn't have been
did, but I'm
allowed
saying
back. Like, it's totally.
I don't
You
think
know,
you seen it, Marty.
well,
Go on.
see, to be honest,
Ain't
Jack,
that big,
sometimes,
mate?
I'm
to
with
be
you, fellas.
honest, sometimes I forget what I fucking say, so you could be right. The age of Matt, but it's just like it was just silly decision making. Now I don't know what like we spoke about it, and I spoke about it way late on Saturday after the match. Everybody was saying the same thing. Like, goalkeeping school first day, go down with two hands and hit the ball hard. And if you can't catch it, get rid of it. Like doing a Gordon Banks, trying to flick it, trying to make it look good or something was just fucking daft. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it was anything particularly to do with his injury. I think he was just trying to put on a show, and it fucked him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, there you go. Individual error is enough in a cup final with such tight margins to cost you a fucking game. And so it did. Now, that's before we talk about extra time and penalties and all that sort of stuff. But we should have comfortably seen out that 1-0 win. I mean, all we had to do really was do what Aberdeen did and put fucking 10 men behind the ball. Man, that fuck is if you want to outshade each other, well, we're one up. You know, but we continue to press and do that. And then, as Scott says, Tulane turned around. It was like the Jimmy Nacho, you know what I mean? The way the Huns play in Europe, run at you for the last 15 minutes and hope for something to happen, and it fucking happened. You know, so there's just, it's like a big shit sandwich and everybody gets to take a bite. All the individual errors then are magnified. Rogers' tactics are looked at, you know, and it was just, you could just feel the fucking air coming out of the balloon as the match was going on. Just like, what the fuck?
No, I think you're right. Like, I mean, sorry, Jason. I think the support are entitled, right, which is completely normal. You know what I mean? When you've had such success there, it's only normal that people are just going to have that expectation. And I don't think we have to get too deep into individuals criticism-wise, the manager as well. I think the general thing that worries me, but I think is up for debate or analysis is teams. It's not difficult now for teams to play a certain way and put us at our stride, and we're struggling. We seem to be struggling to react or to adapt to get around that. And, you know, we've seen it a number of times this season. We've seen it against Rangers multiple times. We've seen it against.
I think it's a lot to do with how
Johnson.
I think it's a lot to do, Liam, with how we start a game. So we don't tend to start well. You know, you can pick maybe individual matches throughout the year where that didn't happen. Maybe got an early goal and stuff like that. But if you're going out and making a statement early doors, that well, we're not. So if you're setting your team up to counteract us, that's grand. But we're going to hammer you in the first 5 minutes, so you're fucked. You can't do it for the rest of the game anyway. You know what I mean? I think there's not enough of that this year. It's all been very steady Eddie stuff, and like it's hard to argue with because we've fucking hammered teams, you know, late in games and things like that, and we've had all sorts of results of 4 and 5 goals scored, league wrapped up early doors, you know, by fucking Easter time. So it's actually hard to argue with. You're going, well, we've got lots of success doing it. But
Yeah, we have. But
in those
when we get
games,
to
like at the weekend or like the Huns matches, where we just haven't fucking started well, and it's come back to fucking bite us late on in the game.
But I think we need to have a way of changing up the play, to doing something that's just going to mix it up a little bit rather than just fucking the whole pass it to death at the back of the team. Do you know what I mean? I'd like to see us have. I don't want to use the term plan B, but just some alternative way of playing or some other thing that we do that can just inject a bit of life into the team when we have these sort of games.
And it's not
the Hun.
it's not rocket science, but it's not.
See, one of the main things you miss is Hatate, because he doesn't get the credit he deserves. He is fucking unbelievable.
I disagree. I do think he gets the credit he deserves.
Well,
he gets the credit he deserves, but he gets a lot of criticisms as well.
But he's a game changer. If he was in that midfield, we would have created a hell of a lot more chances.
Right.
But see, at the end of the day, that's by the by. We've got midfielders there that cost a fortune as well.
Exactly, yeah.
Shoes.
Bernardo cost more than him. I actually think fucking McCowan might have cost more than him. But the point is about Hatate, to kind of come on your point, I think Hatate gets a lot of credit, but the criticisms equal amount, because as much as you're saying he would have created, we've all been at games where he's created nothing.
Yeah.
We've all been at games. So that's no make out as if that Hatate's fucking bang on the button every time. Know what I mean? Like,
I think see if Hatate has like a game similar to Engels, right? Folk actually saying you're fucking shite, but they're saying the Engels
maniacs.
And it's like there's a load of folk out there fucking slate him all the time, but I just think it's class. But I want to bring a point here that nobody's even touched on yet, right? And I've not even spoke to him about this, but I did to Sean on the way back, walk back into the tune. And I don't want to fucking seem like fucking that guy, right? How bad was Don Roberts in the ref?
Oh, terrible.
Fucking bastard of the house daughter.
Honest to God.
See these hands in the back, free kicks that we never get.
He's a fucking
They get every one of them.
Oh, fuck. It drives me up a fucking...
I just thought that I was watching the game like absolutely fucking raging with some of the shit that he was letting go on. What was the guy half yang at the edge of the box?
100%.
And it was outside the box, wasn't it a penalty or nothing? He gives us the free kick and fucking doesn't even book the guy. The guy fucking halved him. He fucking was swinging in the air.
The first person you booked the heck was CCV, no? It was the first booking, no? When he grabbed fucking Shinny.
I'm not sure.
For a brilliant tackle.
Yeah, a smashing tackle.
Sure, you heard the commentators talking about that, going, that's ridiculous. Like they were saying that's not. That was it wasn't even a foul.
Obviously, I didn't see it in the telly and I've not watched it back. So were the commentators commentating on
Michael
Robertson?
No, they were just.
Well, the tackle was fantastic.
Yeah, it was weird.
Won the ball.
I thought it was awful.
The man went down as well, but fucking
no, he was
terrible.
I thought it was
100%.
absolutely awful.
And as I say, Jason, in a game of fine margins, things like that counts. Like it fucking 100% counts. And there's not much between the team. As Joe said earlier on, it was 2 own goals. They brought you to 90 minutes. You know what I mean? So, but I just knew it was my mate Manuel was sitting behind me, and he tapped me on the shoulder when McGregor was walking up, and he says, "We're losing this." And I went, "Fuck's sake, Manuel!" And he was going,
"You know what? It seemed like fine margins, but it shouldn't have been fine margins, and that's where the frustration comes in, right? Because it shouldn't have been fine margins. It shouldn't have been that close."
But one of you were talking about Maida, in that one-on-one, like, and that's what he does. Like he does not have the mental part of his game, like his physicality to get away from those players was unreal, and everybody was on their feet ready for it. But he just fucking doesn't think the way. Who was it? You said it was either Joe or Liam says he should have just kept running. Do you know what I mean? Instead of fucking trying to be smart about it or whatever else. But it's just like there you yet again, such a fine thing. At that point, the fucking the game, the match was over. If that had a went in, that was it. So it's very, very, and somebody else was. Well, there was 10. I don't think they were going to come back and score two.
No, I agree. The game was over, but I'm no.
Like, why wouldn't you chip? Why wouldn't you chip it? The fucking keeper went down.
what he's trying to hit the ball in the net and he's not hit it well. But
No, I don't.
this season,
the
he's
keeper's
done it.
got down and made himself fairly long.
He should have passed it, right? Or he should have ran it round him. That's the two options when the goalkeeper saves it. He tried to score and the goalkeeper made a good save. He scored fucking 30 odd goals this season.
No, I'm not arguing that at all.
No, I know you're not arguing with it, but to sit and say
he scored very few. See that type of goal? He scored. Has he scored any of those one-on-ones? Because he just doesn't fucking. He just takes brain farts all the fucking time.
He scored plenty of those.
I don't think he has. Most of his goals have been tap-ins and fucking things like that too. And as I say, see the work he did to get away for that goal.
Marty, you can't be fucking delving back into the anti-Maeda fucking thing after he's fucking scored 30 odd goals. You can't be doing this. You can't be. Let it go. Come on.
Let
that Japanese fucking Zen flow into you.
Listen, and he scored wonder goals and all that. I'm not decrying him on. I'm just saying that is what he does in a one-on-one position. And he did it the other week at Ibrox as well. So it's not even as if, it's the only time it's happened. He could have fucking won us the game at Ibrox too.
Yeah.
Did
they not score a one-on-one? Did they not score a one-on-one against the Huns in the cup final?
He did.
Well, when they won the ball. Did they not score a one-on-one when they took the ball off
Tavernier.
No, Tavernier one hit half of them. Look, I'm not getting him that one.
No. But anyway, look, that's not my point. My point was about the fine margins in the match. In a game like that, where it's so tight, the refs are bastard. They're playing 11 men behind the ball for the entire match, basically, until last 10 minutes, last 15 minutes, when they just started fucking running and hoping for the fucking best. Do you know, they had an extra half an hour, 20, whatever it was, 20 minutes to make an impression on extra time. We should have been the better team in extra time, but you could just see the balloon there had just gone out of the fucking balloon bed stage, and everybody, I think, just wanted to go home. That's sort of how it felt. You know?
As soon as it went to penalties, I was like, we're cooked.
Do you know what I mean? And here, and as you said, for fuck's the Aberdeen. I'm Aberdeen friends myself. I was texting them, congratulating them and all, and brilliant, whatever else. But we've no God-given right to win a fucking treble. That's just the point.
I'm just glad they hit the Huns. That's kind of the.
But that's a big thing, Joe. Every time I speak to like people ask me, you never get bored of winning. They're like English folk. You never get bored of winning. You're like,
no.
Right, well, what team do you support? And they tell me, and I go, well, just imagine that every time you lose, your neighbours win. So the Man United fan, I say, just imagine that every time you lose a cup final, Man City won another trophy. Are you into that?
Liverpool.
No. And I was like, well what are you talking about then? I mean, give me peace.
It's fucking bad.
As I say to you, Celtic's success has changed how we feel about football, and that's only natural. Dynamo Zagreb fans, and I know it's unchanged for them, Bayern Munich fans, expectations change. The fact is, we spend more on Celtic or on our club than any other fan base in this country, right? And we've all got to suck up when we make an arse yet. But the thing is, see in Scotland, Celtic fans get ridiculed for celebrating because we spend so much money, and then when we get battered off a team who've got so much more money, we get told that's how it feels. So you're kind of damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. To be honest, it's best just coming off of social media, because they cunts have, apart from guys like us, nobody's going to give you any credit. But Celtic, we suck this one up. As I say to you, it maybe shows things in a different light, because since Bayern Munich game, Celtic hasn't been a great watch. There'll be the odd thing like the Aberdeen away game and stuff like that, but you go and win the league, it was garbage. The trophy day, it was rotten, absolutely rotten. The thing that saved it was James Forrest scoring the goal, but we drew one each. Last kick the ball with St Mirren.
It's a game you'll never ever forget, and there was magic there that day with James Forrest scoring.
Aye, how'd the game go? It was.
Who cares?
100%, Jabo, but it's hardly romping over, is it? It's hardly romping.
No, listen,
it's hardly romping the cup final, because the fact is, we all expected Celtic to win, right? No matter if you were, I felt a bit iffy about it on the day, but if Celtic had won, boom, 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 and we'd won 5-0, 5-0, and we batter St Mirren, you'd have been getting that game going, there's no chance Aberdeen's getting this. But we didn't look that great.
See, here's a hypothetical question.
Right, you see a season, Marty, the wee man scored a bundle of goals, fucking 1-0 man with the keeper.
Listen, whatever, but he didn't fucking do it the weekend, and he didn't do it against the fucking Huns the other week. So you're sitting there saying that we've totally changed since Premier League. Well, there you go. He's totally fucking changed too.
But here's a hypothetical question, right? And it would never have happened, and if I was a manager, I'd never have done it either, right? But it's one to throw out there, right? So we plays Aberdeen away with a second string, basically, apart from Callum McGregor, right? And everybody would kind of agree with that. There was no players there that you would, it was just an experimental team, and we just went for it, right? 9 changes or whatever, right? And we were outstanding. We slaughtered them, right? And then we come to play St Mirren, the last game of the season, with the cup final team, or the basics of the cup final team, and we were shit, right? See if you were a right maverick manager, playing that team that played at Aberdeen, would they have won the cup?
I don't think so.
Nah.
I don't think so, no, because the Aberdeen we played that day were at home, and they weren't the same team, and I just think they came out that day and it was a nothing game. Do you know what I mean? I think anybody plays against Aberdeen had a chance to win that cup final, and they were going to do it in that fashion. That I stress again, it suited him. So are we honestly saying that because this group done well before, that a weaker Celtic team are going to get a better result against the same opposition? I don't think so. Obviously, it is theoretical and it's all subjective. I don't think so.
Aye, but I'm just saying, because when we watched the St Mirren game, and that is the cup final team, you say to yourself, right, they're just saving themselves for the cup final. But they were ranked rotten, and then we played the cup final, and they were still ranked rotten. And I don't know if they just ran out of gas.
I definitely think there's an element of that. I definitely think, we've played a shitload of games. We've all saw the fall off since that Bayern Munich game. And, you think we kind of know that we fell all the line, but we should have had the line done. We were up with St Johnson and all that part, you know what I mean? So it was, I don't know.
So here's a bugbear I've got as well, right? And it was a circumstance, right? So I'm going to bring the conversation to Greg Taylor. I know we've not been concentrating on any players, right?
Ooh.
So I did say to you a few weeks ago that a mate of mine met Greg Taylor in the town, and Greg Taylor told him that Celtic didn't offer him a deal. And I fully believe that now. So if they did offer him a deal, it'd have been pennies. But I don't mean pennies, more than we earn at work every week. But for a guy that's his final contract in his life, his final big contract, it obviously wouldn't have hit the mark, and they would have been lowballing him. And I totally agree, Celtic would have done that because they've got Kieran Tierney coming back, and they're hardly going to play somebody circa 30 grand a week, and then have a second string coming in there with 20 grand a week. I just don't think they would do that. So, Greg Taylor, during that game, I don't think it was his best game, but he never shipped a tackle. He gets stuck right in, and there's one in the second half. I don't even know if it was an injury time, but it was quite near me, and he gets thudded a fucking belter, and I thought, he's injured here. But he got up, and he gave 150%, and I'm not saying he was brilliant, right, but he gave everything, and he'd no deal at the end of it. And do you know what? I just take my hat off to the boy, because see if that was me, and if I get injured there, I'm going to be sitting for fucking 6 to 8 months, no getting a wage, and don't know where my next fucking contract's coming from. But that boy didn't shirk a tackle, and he fucking gets stuck right in, and he tried his heart out. And it was only by circumstance that I couldn't get out the stadium, because the final penalty I missed, I was in the third row, that I was still in the stadium, and I turned round, and he walked himself round to clap the full Celtic support, and I turned round and clapped him. And I felt fucking heart sorry for him that he didn't get the send-off that he deserved. Because I think he's been an absolutely amazing servant to Celtic. And a load of folk didn't like him because he was replacing KT and he wasn't as good as KT. But that boy's gave everything to Celtic. And I think he'd be one of the main guys in the dressing room. And he's just been an absolute class act that he came to Celtic. He's left us. And just, I want to say all the best to Greg Taylor. And I was gutted the way he finished.
It's a totally strange one because Rodgers hasn't fucked up about him. Even in the talking after match the day we won the league, and he was saying, "Oh, I hope he stays." His press conference last week, he was saying the same thing. I hope there's still deals to be done, so he could end up fucking staying. If Rodgers wants him to stay, he'll stay.
What does that tell you about what's going on behind the scenes then?
That's exactly my point.
He is like his social media post of like lived it, loved it, and all with the missus and the kid and that there. It all kind of points in one direction, does it not? No.
And the other thing, the point that you're making, Jason, too, about his effort in the cup final, he hasn't got a club. If this is the case, so again, that's a shop window for him. So you could understand why he was knocking his balls in.
The fact that he hasn't got a club is fucking insane as well, to be honest with you.
But it's a short window, Marty. But you imagine he got a bad injury in that cup final.
Listen, 100%. I totally understand, big time.
See if that was me and I was playing for my family and that, I'd have been 80%. Yeah. I wouldn't be diving into fuck all. Because you'd be saying to yourself, well, these are shoving me at the end of the season.
How many times have we spoke about how rare left backs are? Like, they're hard to come by. Left back. So you'd imagine he will have offers from other teams.
And by the way, I can tell, I'll say it on the podcast, I don't care, but I know for a fact that Kieran Tierney phoned him and said to him, he says, don't you worry, he says, because I'll not be playing 60 games a season.
Oh, no, that's.
He says, so
he fucking won't be.
They'll be fit, and it's like, but at the end of the day,
you need those players like him and Ralston and all who are happy to come in.
There's a difference here, Marty. Ralston will be on $7 or $8 a week, and he'll be happy with that, and he just gives 110% when he comes in. Greg Taylor will be looking for more. He's been a mainstay of the team, so I don't think Celtic will do that.
I think Ralston's a bit more than that, mate. I think, did we not have this conversation before?
I've no clue what he's on. So what's he on, Liam?
I thought we'd looked before. Could be wrong, mate. So let me just double check while you're talking about that. But
I've no clue what any of them are on.
I'd be surprised if he's on.
I'm just guessing.
No, you would imagine that Ralston and Taylor will probably be on about the same at the minute. But as you say, Taylor's been there. He'll be looking for a bump. And Celtic are probably going, well, we're not giving you a fucking bump. You gave him something.
Great championship and knock his bollock sent down there.
What'd you say, Scott?
Bump
out the door.
Greg Taylor, 15 grand a week, according to this. Ralston, 14 grand a week.
According to what?
I just googled the first site.
Even
taxidriver.com.
Even just to say that's true, that's basically the point I'm making. The two of them at the minute are on a fairly similar wage, whatever it is. You know what I mean? But one's looking to be, head and shoulders above, despite the fact he won't be the first choice pick.
But a player
I'd be genuinely surprised if no offer has been made. So, for example, like a formal offer might not have been made to Taylor, but you can bet your fucking balls they've been talking to Taylor's agent, and his agent has come in and said, we want whatever, and Celtic just went right there on. And that could be why the offer hasn't been made, because Celtic feel the agent's gambit has been unrealistic and therefore they're just not prepared to deal about it. So if they haven't made it,
but it came to him, Celtic haven't made him an offer.
No, I know, but that's my point. He hasn't made an offer, but because when the agent has been setting the parameters of any offer, Celtic don't feel that they're in the same fucking ballpark, so they just go, well, we won't be making you an offer. That's the only circumstances I can see that a situation like this would emerge, because, as I say, Rodgers hasn't fucked up talking about him. So there has to be a reason why an offer has not been forthcoming, if that's true. And that's the only scenario that I can see, that the agent has went and said he wants 40 grand. Where do we start? Celtic says, well, don't call us.
Ah, but he's not going to be asking for 40 grand.
No, I'm just saying for talk's sake, whatever the fuck it is, I don't know what he's on or what he'd be asking for. I'd be
But-
surprised if he was on 15, you know,
The
but
point
whatever.
I'm trying to make is he could probably make 40 grand down in the championship, and that was pan.
No, he'll
Well,
not get anywhere near 40 grand a week, Joe.
Oh, what would he get down there?
I don't know, just,
25, 30.
Well,
Aye,
that's
so
fucking better than
so
a king
even
of
at
a
that, like it's a 10 grand bump if he's on 15, you know. So, but the figures, we're all talking telephone numbers because we don't know. The point is I'm just saying that if no offer has been forthcoming, it's because the Celtic don't feel that they can get anywhere near what he's looking for. So there's no fucking point in making him an offer. That can be the only reason. How else? You know what I mean? Because, as I say, the manager has already said repeatedly he wants him to stay. So it's up to the fucking agent then to come back and go, I take it that was
Aye,
you
but
fucking...
listen, the manager said loads of stuff about Rocco Vata and things like that, and I just know them to be plainly not true. do you know, there's loads of stuff that Celtic say that's absolute bullshit. You know, there's things when you know somebody and they tell you like, it comes from his mammy, you know, and it's just no true. So,
well, listen, 100%. But I'm certainly in no fucking position to argue with you.
If it appears he's leaving, I've been nothing but a massive fucking Greg Taylor fan from day one. I love his fucking graft. I love what he does. Is he the most gifted technical player in the world? No. But fucking, he's going to give you everything he's got.
And the other thing is too,
any team that gets him is going to be happy.
Right, and the other thing is too is squads need to be refreshed, and people fucking need to leave too. Like there should always be a natural movement of players in and out, and lots of the players that we have now are on long-term contracts, and Celtic are looking at Rodgers, right? If you so say you're the Celtic board at the minute, Celtic's looking at Rodgers going, "You're in there last year. What are you doing?" Well, I'll decide next year. Oh, will you? Well, that's all right. Well, we'll hang on to the fucking money till next year. Because we're not going to give you 50 or 60 million to fucking spend and then you leave next year and we'll have no money for the next guy.
No, that's a fair point.
Shit like that could be going on.
Wait. See that, right? I get that. And that could keep us going for another hour, this conversation. But
it's like financial fucking, painting there, no?
No, but this team needs improved. It can't stand still because of Brendan Rodgers hasn't committed.
I completely agree with you, Scott, but
it's just I've heard this because Brendan Rodgers.
So Brendan's here for next year, so they've got to give him a transfer kit
100%
next year.
But the dude isn't. But how much of a transfer kit?
That's exactly the question, right?
What they may say to him is, well, see whoever you sell, you can keep, but we're not fucking dipping into this money, well, because if your signings go wrong, we're going to have to break the bank again next year for some other guy.
I hope Brendan Rodgers comes out and tells you that and you fling your season ticket back because it's fucking bollocks. We made 46.6 million for the Champions League this year. And I just read on Twitter, 800 grand more than the Europa League winners got just for coming out of that fucking group.
Yeah. And, listen, and again, I'm not arguing with you for a fucking second.
I know you're not arguing with me.
But we all support fucking Celtic and we all know how these dickheads work.
Well, here comes the problem that I don't believe any of us trust our board to go and strengthen to a point that would indicate that Brendan Rodgers would stay on. So, as we've said before, I would never ever criticise a player for spending 2-3 seasons at Celtic, winning a bundle of trophies, playing the same teams time and time again, and then deciding, do you know what, I want to go somewhere else. I don't grudge anybody. I never grudged Tierney. I didn't grudge Van Dijk. Don't grudge anybody. And I think Brendan Rodgers, we was talking last night, what is this coming up? His 6th season then for Celtic? 6 years. And he's won fucking bit. And his only aim is European-wise. Now, we don't strengthen to improve in Europe, because as well as we know, as well as we have been very upbeat about Celtic in Europe, we could come through this we could get knocked out the qualifying for a start, right? Which, touch wood, isn't going to happen, getting seeded and all that. I don't think it's going to happen. But we could end up with a fucking mad tough 8 games. Like the fucking one of these stinking groups, or now elite fixtures, and no matter how well we play, it would be unlikely we would qualify for it. And we'll write it down as we failed. But we've kind of got to put ourselves in the best position. And I don't know, the Rodgers thing is, as I say, it's a total different situation.
The other thing is too, Scott, before you move off it, right?
No, I'm not. I was going to hold the thought, Marty, 2 seconds. Is in the chat room, people are talking about Brendan Rodgers. Why does he not change it up? My dad says to me, well, I've said it numerous times that just go direct for fucking 20 minutes in a game. However, we know what Brendan Rodgers is. We know what he desires. You've either got to get on board and suck it up, or fucking, I don't know, for your own sanity, just turn the telly off or stop going to games, because Brendan Rodgers is going to play this kind of football. And I see him being stubborn as a negative. I'm not a massive negative. I see it being a negative, but I think the positives outweigh the negatives in that term. You know what I mean? Because the fact is, Brendan Rodgers not a fucking top level manager. He's probably the highest we can get without going and giving somebody a ridiculous amount of money. And I would rather he stayed. But he's certainly no fucking perfect. Do you know what I mean?
No manager is. But what I meant was, before you move off that Bodie type stuff, we were sitting chatting about it there this evening. Like, Brendan Rodgers has made a real play. He's made a real big deal about talking to Dermot Desmond.
Yeah.
Not the board. Not Nicholson.
Interesting,
You know what I mean? He's all, I will be speaking to Dermot. You know, so I think that's a factor. You know what I mean? I think he'll be going to Dermot Desmond and saying to him, right, Dermot, there's what we need. Here's what I want.
I've just got a feeling he might sign another year, but...
Well, that's what I'm saying. He could be saying that, listen, I'm going to stay for an extra year or an extra 2 years. I'm happy to sign the deal, but here's what we need, because we're going back into the European campaign, so we need A, B, and C. We need the pitch. We need fucking this training fucking place sorted out. And here's my player list. And if I get these things, then I'll stay. Because as he sees it, he's raised the standards again. And then he'll be saying to them, go and talk to them or fucking dickheads and tell them to get it sorted.
Do you know what? I would love that to happen, because see, to be honest with you, he's earned it. He totally has. You know, and just that Champions League performance alone this season was nothing short of brilliant. Especially the two Bayern Munich games. You know,
and again, Scott's saying about that dip that came after the exit from Europe, right? And we were talking about it the whole year long about how hard it is to maintain those high standards during a Champions League campaign. So therefore, it should be of no fucking surprise that the dip came. And luckily for us, it came after the Champions League, because by that stage we were fair enough in the league. It wasn't like last season where the Huns were up our arses. Do you know what I mean? There was always a slight gap, despite the fact that it was a Christmas. We had a gap to maintain, and we really did ourselves no harm at all in the Champions League.
Do you know, think that we even mentioned it here, and I know a few guys in the chat have, but losing Kyogo was massive.
Oh, 100%.
Well, you think about it, see before the turn of the year, I think we lost 2 games that year, and then I think we lost 7 in the turn of the year. You know, we Kyogo moving there, and that was massive. And I know Kyogo wasn't the prolific striker that he was under Ange, but what a player he was. You know, if Kyogo had been playing in that cup final, we'd have won that. No, I totally believe that, Scott. I mean, it's not an outlandish fucking statement, for fuck's sake.
No, I know, but we went to Ibrox with Kyogo, and we got absolutely fucking honky-tonk taffy.
Aye, once.
No, I know, but this don't make out Kyogo was in fucking wild form. Everyone has agreed that Kyogo at that point, and the fact he wanted to leave to get 10 million was a great move. So I think the pining over Kyogo, prime time Kyogo, I don't disagree with you. But we didn't have prime time Kyogo, and to get £10 million for a guy who didn't want to be there.
No,
And
100%.
right, so,
I get that.
so the
But we
Kyogo thing,
But we
the
didn't
Kyogo
replace him.
thing's
We didn't
incidental.
replace. But we didn't
It's
replace
replacing
him.
him. Yeah, that's more pertinent, Jason. And as the boys are talking about in the chat room, Brendan Rodgers' strike rate as manager, be it him or whoever is signed or identified these guys, it hasn't been fucking great. It really hasn't. I mean,
surely that's no due to him, because obviously
that's what I'm saying, but it's happening under his watch.
But Ange brought his own expertise, and Ange signed. Basically, it was due to him. We got all the Japanese players, etc. So that was Ange. He done that himself. But Rodgers has got a team behind him that's gearing players. So if they all keep failing, and I don't think they are failing, because I still think he does get a future. I think Engels is going to be a cracker. You know, I do think the players are decent. You know, I don't think he's made many boobs. I thought Schlupp was a cracking signing. You know, when he started off at a train, and he's finished no too bad. But I mean, there's a conversation, right? They wouldn't give Greg Taylor 20 grand, or I don't know, what 25. I don't know, right? Whatever the figure was. So Schlupp's there. Would you take Schlupp as a backup for Kieran Tierney? Or would you look for something else?
Do you know what?
Like a younger player there, I would personally.
I agree with that. And I would love somebody to come out with it for the youth team, but obviously
I think we've been linked with the Japanese left back. We've been linked with the Japanese left back this week, I think.
Okay, playing in Germany or something.
Where's he playing?
I thought it was Germany.
In Sweden, wasn't he?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a fairly small club he was playing at. But
he's linked with PSG, I know.
Ah, right. Sorry, Scott.
Oh,
right.
Yeah, that. So you're talking about. I agree with you, Liam. If you're getting KT in, you want somebody that's young and whatever that could be the next KT sort of thing to learn from, but play games. They're going to be hard to come by. Obviously, left backs, aren't they? You know,
I thought we had two though. I thought we had two decent young left backs.
Well, I couldn't tell you.
Matthews? Was that one of them? Matthews.
But it's mad, I don't know, right? To come to a wee tangent, to come back to your point, is the wee boy Mitchell Frame came on against Feyenoord, I think it was, looked the part, absolutely the part, gone. Turley came in to start the season, looked great, gone. The boy who just finished the season was there, Mercado. 2 games, looked brilliant. Well, obviously.
He's chucked him in the cup final.
Was on the bench, I think.
So you're kind of going, as Roger. I've always got sympathy for a Celtic manager where we demand a stronger bench, and then we kind of. I always felt it was hard when Neil Lennon took on Rodgers. He had to integrate all the young guys in the team. We signed a bundle of young players the season that Rodgers left. And Neil Lennon had to get all these young guys in the squad, but he had to get a better first team squad, and he had to go and win a treble because that's what Rodgers done. And I felt it was hard. And I always feel it's hard, especially Ange. Remember Ange? Ange had basically a squad of 16, and every one of them had all had a fight to be a first team player. Every one of them. And you were trying to keep them all happy by bringing them all on, and he was getting dogs abuse. He's not bringing any young guys on. And I dare say Rodgers is under the same pressure. He's looking for the guy who's going to come in and just take a place. He's not looking for a guy who will ease into a team. But we kind of, as fans, we are thinking it's a wee bit more fair to allow somebody to grow into a team. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense, or was that a whole lot of bump?
No, it does, of course. But that's the thing. We all looked at our bench this year, especially in Europe, man. Honky tonk.
The thing is, you buy Trusty to replace Scales, and Scales has kept the jersey, and often looked a better option than Trusty, which is damning. Narowski comes in, and it makes you question why he's never been given a sniff.
And by the way, see the foot going on further, Scott. that needs a full conversation itself, because that boy comes in and does nothing wrong and looks the part and even chips in with the odd goal. And what happens to him after that game?
Yeah.
I mean, what's he doing? Is he farting in the manager's peace box or something like that? You know, what is he doing? I mean, we all watch the games and he looks great. He does look a great player. He looks really good and he looks comfortable on the ball and he hardly does a thing wrong. And then it comes to the next game, he's dropped and you never see him again for 2 months. And you're like, what's going on there? I mean, what is anybody get any ideas? Is anybody heard?
No, fucking none.
Not
You know,
a clue.
and like when you look at the ones who are out on loan, it's really like one. None of them are likely to come in and make any sort of an impact, and two, even if they do come back, they're likely to be out on loan again. They're not. They're not even going to be retained on the bench or whatever as a player of standard. They're going to be just fucking, back out and to get rid of them. So it's and I'm not saying that's wrong either, because some of them just won't be good enough. Or anything we've seen so far they haven't set the world on fire wherever the fuck they are at the minute. Do you know what I mean? So it's building any squad's not a fucking exact science, but we have fucking serious work to do this summer.
It's mad, isn't it? It's mad because, like I said, 4 months ago, we were begging the club not to let your top guys go, and now we're at the point. I mean, there's a huge question mark over Adam Ida. No matter how much plaudits we can put in for his goals, it needs to be better.
Yeah.
Does he improve with a full pre-season? Maybe, but there is a question mark over him, no doubt. There's a question mark over Nicholas Kuhn. Whereas 4 months ago, you were going, this guy's outstanding. I mean, me and you were sitting arguing with Andy about him, and fucking there's Paulo Bernardo. Every one of us have cried for him to get a run of games. And whilst he's still never had that run of games, let's be honest about it, he's not done enough for me to say he deserves a run of games.
No.
Right? Engels gets the benefit of the doubt because I think the season's been a very positive. A load of games have passed him by, but I think for a guy in his first season in Scotland, still a young guy, and he's scored some big goals, penalties and stuff like that. I don't see it being a problem. Defence is still a problem. The Greg Taylor thing, right? Greg Taylor's no signing a new contract, so you drop him for Sloop, and then Sloop has 2 bad games and Sloop's out in his hole. Greg Taylor's back in, and you're bumming him up like Marty says. That's a problem. Liam Scales, you bought all these guys to replace him. He's still got the jersey. That's a problem. And Alistair Johnson has just been, he's not had a great season, I don't think, in total, but he's no problem. It's mad. I mean, I think next week's probably the week to get ball deep into it. I don't think it is now, but the second half of the season and the cup final has put a full stop on it. Just to reiterate what Marty says, we've got some fucking decisions to make.
Scott, 2.5 weeks ago, we were talking about, do we need to sign anyone after that Aberdeen performance?
That's exactly what I was thinking.
No, I don't think I was on the pod that week now.
I mean, I was totally carried away. I was like, just keep this squad together. This is fucking, we're going to win the European Cup. I was talking about semi-finals of the European Cup next year.
In fact, good. You just reminded me, Jason. Fucking, I think it was Joe calling Engels Michael Ballack last week on the podcast.
And then I was going, do you know, Joe, you've got a point there. The way he caresses the ball.
Joe, you've never over-egged. You've never done that.
No. Listen,
the Roger Zidane
man was Zidane, right, definitely. I said he had a touch of Zidane. I mean, he was on the Zidane spectrum.
A poster of him in his living room.
Right, boys, listen, I need to jump off. Apologies. I'll leave
No, I think we're
you.
nearly
Enjoyed
done
that.
anyway.
I think we've fucking exhausted everybody.
Depressed everybody long enough.
There's fucking nothing to talk about after this other than pre-season, and that's not really. Apparently, there's a tournament in Italy. You hear about this?
Como, yep.
We're playing in
We're
Cork.
talking about it for ages a day.
Cork, then Faro, then Italy, then Newcastle, wasn't it?
By the way, a flight to Milan. Get yourself a flight to Milan for 2 games.
See if it was a young single guy, I'd be there every day of the week. That'd be outstanding.
Just to be in Como, aye? You got the game there.
There could be absolute chaos there. They're playing Ajax.
Oh, fuck man.
Oh, I'm telling you, that will be fucking naughty. Because they'll bring tons.
Well, the Fenian lamppost might find a cousin.
Aye. Honestly, that would be mental. But that would be a great one. I know. But just thankful there's no near American trips around that.
You need to get married again.
No. But,
Well, listen, after the chat today, I'm like, I want it to be out in South Fork next game.
He'll be cut. He's get measured up for his stats in the.
You know what? Yeah, you got to be in it. Got to be in it to win it. What I mean? Fucking stay in. What I mean?
So,
Like a rally.
I got it. Oh man.
so that was. Did
John-
anybody listen? Did anybody
John
listen?
Dutton. John Dutton.
Did anybody listen to any of the aftermatch interviews from Rogers? I think I was in the bar.
I listened to some of the stuff on BBC Scotland, and that was it. You know what? It's fucking. I was kind of going. You know what? I think I'm done. Close the book.
Never listened to a thing. I've not watched it back. Never listened to a thing.
I'll see you in a month and a half.
I watched it back. I watched the highlights and see their goal. However bad it is for Schmeichel, I think there's about 6 players in the park. You just walk around and kick them in the balls, including Maeda. The passing and the control and the touches stinking. There was no need for that goal again. Absolutely no need for it. It's so bad for Celtic. It's wild.
Complacency, probably.
That's it.
Somebody else will do it. Somebody else will tackle him. Somebody else will hit the ball. Somebody else will fucking save it. Fuck's sake.
That's
Then
what I'm
next
trying
time
to.
it's in the back end.
Nobody's going to do it for you. You gotta figure a hole. Anyway, folks, I think we're done here. We're back to says the demons. Right?
So when are we back? When are we saying for the hingy, lads?
You need to do your fucking
I read you that,
season
yeah.
review.
Do your Staro magic.
Give it date next Friday. I'm away to Donegal on the Saturday.
That works for
Next
me.
Friday works for me, Brad.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or next Thursday, in fact, because I'll be back. No, I'll be
Thursday or
back.
Friday, maybe, I think.
Aye, Friday's good. But we're leaving at 4 in the morning to go to Donegal, so it'll be.
You just got to go straight for there, straight for this.
Yeah, all right. Let's
Ellie's
go.
got it.
Let's go. Ew. Right, folks, we'll talk to you next week when we get Scott McCurry on his season rundown. What's the about
It'll cheer us all up, I think, because there'll be a whole
I
lot
will,
of
Alright,
guys
yeah.
fuck,
It always does. It always does.
Definitely.
I will. Right,
Right,
hail,
boys,
hail.
peace out.
Right, to sail.
Cheers, guys.
God bless.
Free kneecap.